Alright, so this morning I'm going to be listening to a piece for Pierrot Ensemble plus viola by Wenbin Liu, and the piece is called Turbulent Mind. I saw this live in 2023, and it was part of a conference called Midwest Graduate Music Consortium, and there was one concert on this conference, and I had a piece on the concert, and Wenbin also had this piece, which was the biggest piece of the night in terms of the size of the ensemble. And I never actually went to the same school as Wenbin. I've just ran into him a number of times. First at the Splice Institute in 2022, and then the next time I saw him I think was at this consortium thing, and then I've seen him like twice just this year at different festivals and conferences, and he's a very active guy. So if you are a composer in America and you do these sorts of things, you probably ran into him or heard his music. And he's also a very down-to-earth and humble guy, very approachable. So yeah, a little bit more about him. He's a Chinese composer who was on a student visa in the US when I met him. At the time I was also on a student visa as a Canadian. Yeah, his compositions are a mix of Western techniques informed by Oriental culture, and some of his larger collaborations include Eighth Blackbird, the Acropolis Quintet, Sandbox Percussion, and this is a COVID piece written shortly after he moved to Cincinnati. The first movement is based on a cardinal he saw during the pandemic, and the second movement, which shares the same title with the piece, expresses anxiety, boredom, and loneliness. I kind of appreciate how short and sweet the program notes are here, and he doesn't really try to say anything particularly political, or he's not making any platitudes here. He's just expressing his personal experience of the pandemic, which must have been very unique to him as a international student, moving cities, like having just moved to a new city. I don't know why, but he has the first movement labeled as 3 and the second movement labeled as 13. And you can see his layout of the score here. He's just doing one system on the first page and then 2 systems for every other page. And already we can see that it's very rhythmic music with some syncopation and some interesting new music techniques like touch fourth harmonics and slap tongue in the flute. Okay, yeah, it's just a 5-minute piece. So, if you feel like this is a bit of an adventure because you're not used to listening to lesser known composers, it's only 5 minutes of your time. So just relax. Okay, sweet. So I chose to listen to this recording on his website, but there's also this 20-second excerpt here from the performance that I was at, and yeah, in addition to the chamber version, there's also a orchestral version. Let me just pull that up. And interestingly, this is like a concerto for piano and orchestra, so if you're interested, he's expanded the work. He probably added a couple movements. Yeah, he added 2 movements to it, and it's 3-2-2-3, 4-2-3-1, timp, harp, piano, strings. So slightly reduced winds, slightly reduced brass, and no percussion, but you do need a harp and a piano, obviously, because it's a piano concerto. So, yeah, if you really like this piece, you can check out this version, which was written 2 years later. And as for the score, there's a lot of interesting things that I didn't pick up on just from that one listen in person. I didn't realize there were moments in the piano part where the pianist just had to play random notes. So there's a little bit of aleatory in it. When I first heard it, I didn't completely appreciate all the string harmonics going on and how they contribute to the first and the second movement. But the way the piece opens is really striking. It's like the extreme upper register of the ensemble and then this really low note in the piano. I think that Wenbin has a very distinctive style, and it's a very colorful piece, and I think that sets it apart from a lot of other like post-tonal or neoclassical kind of pieces. Oh yeah, I was going to say that the second movement kind of reminded me of Hinastera, and Wenbin's a guitarist, so that kind of makes sense. And I think if you keep in mind that he's a guitarist, a lot of these like very colorful choices can start to make a bit more sense, because the guitar is like a very colorful instrument when compared to, say, a piano. It has all sorts of playing positions and colors, and I think that's worked its way into his compositional practice. So other famous guitarist composers include Berlioz, right? So that's sort of the type of piece that this is, I think. Tomorrow we're going to be moving on to another lesser known piece for the same instrumentation, and it's a little bit longer because it was somebody's master's project, but it still is just Pierrot plus viola. So